So we start obviously where my customer would start, which is on my website. And as they scroll down on my website, one of the first things that they see is this invitation to start your free 7-lesson interactive personalized email course where they can learn in 30 minutes how to build a marketing engine that impacts sales. There's 3 things that I'm hoping that they'll tell me to start this course: their first name, their email address, and their role in their organization. So I typically do business with marketing professionals, sales professionals, executives, and consultants or business owners. I'm holding off on the component for the consultant. I'm going to build that a little later. So for now, I'm working to attract interest from these 3 personas: the marketing pro, the sales pro, and the executive. And this introduces my first sort of integration into another tool in my technology stack, which would just be Gravity Forms. So this form is driven by Gravity Forms on my WordPress site. Nothing very interesting here. It's a very boring form. It has some CSS styling to make it so it's inline the way that it is, but it starts to really put things into play by integrating with Drip. And so the integration that I have with Drip is it's going to talk to Drip to create or update a subscriber to my account. And the custom fields that I want to target are first name, obviously, and then role. So I've created a custom field inside of Drip called role. And then one other thing happens that's really important, and that is as soon as they hit submit, then this subscriber gets tagged with MMM course and role. So MMM is really my prefix for a lot of things happening with this marketing that makes money course. So let's dive into Drip and I can show you what's happening there. So here we are inside of Drip. Love Drip because it feels like designers were on hand when they built this thing, whereas a lot of other tools that I've used feel very much like they're built by engineers. So they're complex, they're difficult to work with, they're bloated. Drip is simple in the right ways and allows complexity in the right ways. And as a Drip certified consultant, I had some exposure to their team and really enjoyed some of the people that I got to interface with. So anyway, a lot of reasons to love Drip, and I was very excited after working with so many client projects to really dive into something on my own website. Let me show you just a little bit about how this email course works. This is the course proper. There's a container that kind of drives it. There's a few things that I would like to bring attention to so that I can talk more about them later. One of the first things you get is this email, this action required email. And in that email, I'm asking them to help me customize it by choosing a trigger link. So I've got a lot of if-else stuff going on. Rather than funneling through different forks inside of the workflow, I use a lot of if-else so that I can use a single message, but do a lot of different things with it. So they'll click one of these trigger links, and that will tell me their purpose. So there's really 3 points of information that I really want to know from somebody taking the course so that I can deeper personalize this for them. And if they do nothing else, at least with these 3 things, I can do some pretty cool things down the road. So as you saw from the form, I just need their first name and the role that they play in their organization: marketing pro, sales pro, executive. And then what is the purpose? What's the thing that really drove them here? So the email looks like this. So this is Eric, the executive, and he signed up for the course, and so he's going to get these 3 questions that are unique to him. I've got a little typo here, but that's been fixed. I have multiple questions, but they all kind of go to only 4 destinations. They either want to focus on lead generation, they want to focus on strategy, they want to focus on the relationship between sales and marketing, or they want to focus on what I call aspirational sales pro or aspirational sales skills, which is using sort of some of these modern marketing techniques to become a better sales professional. So those are the only 4 purposes that they can declare, and they're assigned to one of these questions. Back in Drip, it looks like this. So I've created a number of rules in Drip to help me identify what they've done. So in this case, those are links, trigger links inside the email. Once they click the one that they want, a couple things happen. I'm going to send them to a destination URL. I'll show you that in a minute. But then I'm going to give them a tag of their purpose. MMM purpose equals, in this case, it was lead to sales. He's interested in better connecting his marketing and his sales strategies. I'm also going to record a custom event, which is that his purpose has been defined. So those are the things that I'm going to do. What the user sees is this page, which is just a little Star Wars in there. Yee-hoo, you're all clear, kid. I'll show you later how I've customized his first name. Check your inbox. Lesson 1 is on the way. So that's what happens at the other end of that rule being executed. But back in Drip, with that purpose defined, I can move along in the course. One other thing I thought I'd share with you before I left this was just this quick content snippet that I created. It's just another if-else that lets me use the word executive and put an in front of it versus putting an A in front of sales executive or marketing pro. So I can say if you are an executive or if you are a marketing pro or sales pro. And so that's convenient. It lets me just put one little snippet in and I can speak grammatically proper to 3 different types of people. And looking back at Eric's email, that's what we have right there, facing as an executive. And so here is what that workflow looks like. Lots of different things happening. Once they complete an email or a lesson, then I send them to a worksheet. So here's lesson 1, and when Eric gets his first lesson, he's gonna go through it. And at the end of the lesson is a link to a worksheet. When he clicks that button, I'm gonna send him to a special page, and I'm gonna also send along inside the URL his email address. And that lets me then track him inside of the form. Everything he's doing is going to continue to add to his profile that I have with Drip. So here I'm blurring out this email address. But it's right there. It asks them to double check their email, make sure it's all good. But it's auto-populated with whatever their email address is inside as a subscriber of Drip. So inside each form, I ask a few questions in the way that I position the worksheet. This is just another gravity form. The way that I position the worksheet is I ask them to really kind of reflect on some realities that they're facing and then take some action or commit to some action. And I also encourage them to share their worksheets with others in their organization as discussion starters. And then on many lessons, I will ask them to make a commitment. And so one of the questions I'll say is, how can you commit to improving? Or what can you specifically do right now to change this? What I do with that then is 3 months or 6 months or a year down the road, I will send them an email with this commitment that they said. And I said, hey, do you remember when you made this commitment? How's it going? And in that way, I can continue a conversation and I can bring back to them wherever they were when they took this course, because we all get, busy and things get more important or our priorities change. And I want to bring them back into this. So it'll be a great way for me to reach out to them, continue some outreach and some nurturing, just relationship nurturing, not even thinking about business, but just, you came here because of a pain. Let's talk about your commitments to what you're learning that can help you address those pains. And are you still doing it down the road? And then I ask them some questions about that are related to the lesson. So when they send me that information, here you see I've got a custom field for industry. So as they fill out that form, that information on the gravity form and other information, it gets recorded here, and then I can continue to use it to personalize the course. So that's basically it. The course kind of repeats itself again and again like that. If they finish a worksheet, I'll send them the next lesson right away. If they don't, I'll wait a day and I'll send it to them. So they could take a week to finish this course, or they could take half an hour. It's up to them. Really, one of the ultimate goals of the entire thing is to schedule this consultation through Calendly. So I'm not going to introduce Calendly or talk at all about Calendly. It's another part of my marketing stack with this, my technology stack. And it is the thing that I'm trying to drive them to. And if they schedule my consultation, I'll pull them out of certain parts of this. So I don't want to promote to somebody who has already done what I've asked them to do. Again, that's not what we're after with personalization. We want to know what somebody's doing and then respond to that in the right way. So I'm going to give them something else if they've scheduled a consultation. Now, something that happens when somebody does create a Calendly appointment with me is I wait 5 minutes. I have a rule set up where I wait 5 minutes and then I send them this workflow, or I put them into this workflow, the Calendly qualifier. And so I wait just 5 minutes to make that happen. I want this to hit their inbox while their inertia around taking this action is high. And then I send this email that is preparing for our upcoming conversation, where I have 6 kind of getting started questions. And in some ways, these are qualifying questions. I talk a little bit about pricing in there that gives them one more opportunity to say this isn't for me, so that nobody's wasting their time. But also these are 6 maybe questions that would start the first 15 minutes of a 30-minute consultation. I want to get those out of the way if I can in an email ahead of our conversation, so that we can spend that half hour just really diving into some opportunities together, so that this Calendly conversation that we have, this 30 minutes, isn't just kicking tires, but it's really, let's get some specifics around what you have in mind and what clear next steps are. So let me show you a really high-performance sales page using all the things, all the data that I've been able to collect with Drip. Mark is a marketing professional. He told me that. And he is focused on lead generation. So the first thing I'm going to say to him when he hits this page as part of that email course that he's a part of is I'm going to instantly personalize it, not just with his first name, which is already pretty cool. Like, we know that's, we pay more attention when we see our name. But now I'm speaking directly to him and directly to his pain. I help you, and I help you with this pain. And he told me those things. In that first email, one of the first things he told me was this stuff. And now I've made a promise to him here. I've personalized some recommendations for him. So as he slides down, he's going to see different recommendations specifically for him. And these recommendations come from answers that he gave me inside that course. Here is Eric, our old friend Eric. Now, Eric is an executive, and he's concerned about strategy. And so I'm going to hit him right off the bat with exactly what he's looking for, and to make him feel well understood. And then as Eric scrolls down, he's going to see some recommendations that are specific to him, like some strategic workshops that I think he might benefit from, because that's what he told me inside of the course. I understood from him where some of his pain is and how I can help. So this is now transformational. It's something I talk about all the time with my clients, is our websites can't be so informational. They need to be transformational. Now I'm being guided as a customer, as a user. Eric, I'm being guided towards the things that I might think about. This is Aster, who has a fancy name, and he's a sales pro. And so one of the things I'm going to pitch to him, he also was very low engaged. So I don't know a lot about him, but I do know as a sales pro that I want to make sure that he sees this, Salescraft for the Modern Customer. That's a workshop that I do around this very thing, around aspirational stuff. And then this is Chris. Chris didn't do anything. Chris didn't even tell me his role. He's one of the people I had to force through. And so he gets a boilerplate. I help companies like yours make an impact with more leads. But when I can customize the sales page like this, forget about it. It's a whole different thing. And now a person can see the ways that I can directly help them, and they can really put themselves into it. One of the metaphors I use a lot with clients is one of the reasons we stage a house when we're trying to sell it is so people can picture themselves living in it. We want to do that with our websites. We want to picture ourselves living in it. And when we can put furniture in it, or in this case, we're putting a person's name and their role and their pain, and then we're making recommendations around what we could do for them. Oh man, that's pretty exciting. So how did I do all that? That's another tool in the technology stack called Right Message. And let me show you a little bit about that. This is Right Message. And so I load up the page that I want. In this case, it's that schedule a consultation page. And I showed you kind of when Chris signed up, he didn't give me any information. So this is kind of the stock version. But with all the things that I know from Drip, I can create different customizations. So in this case, I'm going to show you what happens here. I've got some logic that says, some conditions. If the Drip's custom field of role equals marketing pro, and if the tag that I included for them for their purpose, remember I showed you all that stuff from their original email that I sent them, why are you taking this course? If I connected that to MMM purpose equals lead to sales, well then I'm going to make some changes. And here's those changes right here. And then as they keep going down, you see I can make these different recommendations as you saw. So if one of the things that they're concerned about is, or that they're interested in is automation, then I will say, hey, I recommend you check this out. And then I can use a little bit of liquid syntax there for plugging in their first name. So that is really what powers that really personalized, customized sales page is Right Message, which is really cool. Something else I can do in Right Message is I can go back to my homepage and I can customize it according to what I know. So if they have already enrolled in my course, I don't need them to see that again. I don't want to waste their time. So I'm just going to hide it. And now it's gone. And I can customize this welcome message that I have so it is more suitable to who they are. So here I've grabbed the first name that I know from them inside of Drip, and I customize that message a little bit. So in the real world, here's our friend Eric again, and when he visits my website, he doesn't see the subscription form, and he gets, hey, welcome back, Eric. I'm the guy that helps executives. I know that he's an executive, and business owners like you, and I know that his whole deal was about better strategy around marketing in his business. It wasn't lead generation, and it wasn't connecting lead to sales. It was strategy. So there you go. I'm the guy that helps people like you with the problem that you had that brought you here. And then I say, what brings you back? So great way to personalize an entire experience, not just a bit of a website or a bit of this or that, but an entire experience for people that I already have a relationship with. And that personalization is a real shortcut to delight. And I talk about that a lot with my clients, that when we can delight our customers or our potential customers, that is a real powerful way to move them into aspirational habits like loyalty, like evangelism for us, like advocacy for us with others. And so I'm really, really excited about this stuff for my website and for my customers. So I showed you at the beginning how somebody can just, obviously fill out the form on my homepage to get into the course. One of the things that I wanted to make sure happened was there were other ways to get in. So maybe an exit pop-up if you're leaving the homepage and you haven't done anything, or maybe something on a blog post if you're going to read it, or a dedicated landing page so I could do some advertising around it. This actually turned out to be one of the biggest hassles of this whole project, was just to figure out the best way to put a form in front of people. And I don't even know that I found the best way, but I didn't want to add more elements to my technology stack. I didn't want to connect 14 different tools. So there's a real opportunity for disruption here. The biggest pain for me was that Drip does not, in their own forms that they have as part of their process, they don't have drop-down forms or drop-down selectors as an option. And coding that into a pop-up that behaved the way I wanted it to was just turning out to be a hassle. So I ended up using Typeform, which is a tool that I've used a lot, and so it was already in my technology stack, and so I didn't need to add something new. And at this point in the project, that became important to me. I think I'll continue to innovate around this, but let me show you a little bit about using Typeform. Here inside of Typeform, I've got my form, and there's really nothing too crazy going on here. But this connects to Drip using Zapier. And so with Zapier, I am looking for new entries in that MMM landing page form that I've created inside of Typeform. And then I'm updating my subscriber, creating or updating a subscriber inside of Drip. So I've got multiple things going on here, and there's another layer I'm about to show you. But I fill out a Typeform, which connects to Zapier, which talks to Drip, which lets me start my course. I love Leadpages. They happen to be the same company that runs Drip, and so there's a really nice, elegant integration between the two that I'm not necessarily using for this project, but in general I really love. And it solves problems for me. It's easy to use. I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Time is really a premium for me, so I like to use Leadpages when I can. And lead boxes as well when I can. So in this case, what I wanted was some of the functionality that lead boxes provide. But one of the things that can happen inside of a lead box is you've got multiple ways that you can generate the lead box. So in my case, I'm using a timed pop-up. I'll set that to like 20 seconds or 30 seconds. I'd love it for there to be a scrolling function. When it's scrolled 50% down the page. Hopefully these are innovations that the Leadpages team is working on. There are other tools out there that let me do that, but integrating the form into it in a way that made sense was turning out to be a huge hassle. So again, it's something I'll continue to innovate around, but really pleased with the Leadbox team and with the Leadpages team and the work that they've done around this to help me kind of figure out how to put it through its paces for my use. So what I did with this Leadbox, and I'm not going to teach you anything about Leadboxes or how to use it, but I stripped everything out and made it just one big sort of HTML container. And then inside of Typeform, I took the HTML code that they provide for me and I embedded it into here. So then when I can preview the Leadbox, I'm really just using the Leadbox as a container for the Typeform. And so that container is then inside of a plugin on my website that I can tell to, pop up or on exit, or if I want to create a button. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to do it this way is it gives me that flexibility. If I want to create a button later and put it maybe on the sidebar of a blog post, I can do that. And I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I just kind of go in and do a couple things with Leadboxes and it's ready to go. So it's convenient for me to embed Typeform into Leadbox and then let Leadbox be the container for the behavior that I'm looking for. I'm hoping for some innovation around that in the future, but see, it also plays nice on mobile. And some of the solutions I was working with or trying to roll in my own, I was just having to fight too hard with it, and it was driving me nuts. When you visit my website, there are all these little micro experiences, like this little rocket, my little logo rocket dude flies by. Maybe you'll catch him, maybe you won't, at certain times. And I have what I call the 5 gears of the modern marketing engine. And here, if I launch an area where you can learn more about, in this case, marketing identity, those gears are turning with some CSS animations. Down here near my footer, I've got a real subtle gradient animation happening right behind this logo, which I think it's kind of fun. So they're subtle. They're not, over animated. But they're part of, I think, my brand a little bit. I spend sometimes too much time on stuff like this, but I pay a lot of attention to detail. I like bringing in some fun and some whimsy and some imagination into my work. So I wanted to build a landing page so I could do some marketing for this, whatever kind of online marketing I want to do that isn't necessarily connected to going to my homepage. And so I thought about rolling my own for that, but I wanted to use Leadpages. And there's a few reasons why I wanted to use Leadpages. One is, again, very easy to use from the same team that designs Leadboxes, drag and drop, make a lot of functionality kind of easy and ready baked. Don't have to think a lot about, compatibility with devices and things like that. There's also a really nice integration, as I pointed out, with Drip and with some other tools. A lot of integrations that, while I'm not taking advantage of them now, as I said, I hope some future innovation will happen so that is something that I'll continue to kind of keep my eye on. The fact that Leadpages does not, just like with Leadboxes, I can't put a selector item in a form. So I can't have that drop down so a person could choose their persona of marketing pro, sales pro, or executive. That was another huge hassle for me. And so what I did was just what I did with the Leadbox. I just imported my exported Typeform code. And so like here, this is a huge HTML widget. It's not actually huge in the experience. It's just a tiny button. But I kind of stripped out all of the forms or the native forms that Leadboxes would encourage me to use, and I am using HTML code instead. This is what this looks like then. And you can see I've got this animated SVG of my logo. That's kind of cool. And as I slide down, I've got different aspects. And if I just click the button, get instant access now, then I am looking at my Typeform form. One of the things I wanted to do with this landing page was some unique things. So I pointed out some of those micro experiences, and I wanted to bring some of those into this so that if you spend time on my website and you come here, the relationship will be clear. But even if you don't, you'll think to yourself, oh, I don't see that every day, because at this point we've all seen 16 gazillion landing pages, and I'm hoping to, do something just a little different. So back in Leadpages, if I just go in here to my page styles and turn on my custom CSS, you see I've got a whole mess of CSS here. Let me show you what that looks like with that turned on. So here is the Leadpages now with my CSS. So you see I have my SVG rocket, but I've now got this color change happening behind this video, which is, I think, interesting, but it's subtle. It's not hitting you over the head. But if you spend time with the video, you're obviously going to see this color transformation. And my hope is somebody will say, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. That's unique. And, that's half the battle sometimes in marketing. And if I slide down here a little bit further, there my gear is turning, just like on my website. And I talk about the 5 gears, and I'll be introducing and talking about the 5 gears inside of this course. So that's got some relevance to it. And then down here, as I get into the lessons, I've got some animation, some CSS. I'm not sure. That might be a little much. I don't know. If you have an opinion, I'd love to know it. But I just wanted to bring some different things into the landing page that maybe people don't see every day, and that would enchant them a little bit and delight them a little bit. I think delight is a key to developing a loyal relationship with your audience. So those are some things that I'm doing on the landing page that I was excited about. They were fun for me to put together, and were kind of the last part of this whole puzzle, piecing everything together. And then one last fun thing that I think is kind of cool about Typeform is once I fill out the form, it will immediately let me use your first name. And so here is some instructions that Gandalf is ready to go for his course. And then, of course, I can plug in a nice video there of me welcoming them. Congratulations, good decision. I truly believe that And I give them a little bit of coaching there to, watch your inbox. Here's exactly what's going to happen next. So rather than jump to another page, a destination page, which is also, valuable, I can kind of keep it all self-contained right here. And it's pretty elegant. And I love that the personalization starts immediately with their first name right there. And I don't need to send out to Drip and bring that back. Typeform does that all by itself. So that's cool. And then if they hit this button, they just head right to my homepage. And that is really the workflow.